Give me my theme music. What's up, Buffs Nation, and welcome into Buffs News Weekly Live. I'm your host, Russ Dornish, and Happy New Year to everyone out there as we start a brand new year. It's officially the off season, and a lot's been happening. As you can see, a little bit of a different view than what you're used to. Changed up my camera view, changed up my office. That's what I've been doing for the last 5 days, which is why I haven't really recorded anything or shown any videos. It's just because simply everything got demolished. I unplugged and removed everything out of my office, redid every setup and piece. And so just coming back from that, looking forward to now covering some more off-season stuff as we've got so many things coming up. We've got recruit visits this weekend for more transfer portal players. We've got the Under Armour All-American game happening right this moment, where Quentin Gibson is showing out already from practice this week, as well as a couple of high school commitments to be announced, one of which has Colorado in his final couple of teams, but I don't think we're going to have a chance at him. I don't think that's a big deal either, but we'll talk about that here in a moment. But appreciate everybody for joining in, coming back to the new year. Hopefully this is okay. The quality is nice. You like the view. I'm going to be looking off to the side, of course, on the computer a little bit, but we're going to be going through a bunch of different stuff today. So feel free to say hello in the chat. Appreciate you, Shirley, as always, joining in for the new year, tapping in today on this Thursday. We've also got team workouts coming up. It sounds like about the 12th of January is when we should be expecting the team to get back together. So only a couple of week break, and then we are back ready and locked and loaded to get going. A couple other little bits of news that has occurred in the last couple of days. In regards to some of our graduating players, Jimmy Horn Jr. was officially invited to the Combine. And as I've spoken numerous times here on the channel, I do believe that his best chance to get drafted is how he shows up for the Combine. If he is able to run around a 4.3, then I do believe that a team will draft him, and that will add another player to the list of players who I believe will be drafted, which of course includes Shedeur and Travis. But I also do believe that Cam Silman-Craig, I do believe that LeJohntay Wester should be. BJ Green is another one that I think should be drafted to an NFL roster at some point in the draft. Outside of that, we'll have to see what happens. But hey, if we could get 4 to 5 guys drafted at some point during the numerous rounds of the draft, then I think that would be a success when it comes to the season. So something to think about, something to look out for. Another piece of the puzzle that we'll be covering throughout the offseason, both the Combine, workouts, and then, of course, the NFL draft. And hey, who knows? Maybe we'll do a live show for the NFL draft and watch it all together. Already seen you guys come in. Welcome in, Coach Dre. How is your new year going? Let us know. We need money to expand the trenches and linebacker room. Well, we're getting a lot of those guys in. Okay, we're getting a lot of those guys in. There's really nothing in the portal that is of note anymore. We need to wait for the second entry of the portal coming up. So be on the lookout for that. Okay. How does Horn get an invite over Wester? I don't know. They haven't announced any other invites. So Travis and Shedeur haven't officially been invited yet. So I don't know if they're doing it in waves or what they're doing it. I would wait and see, because I bet that Wester will still get an invite to the Combine. We just might not have seen it just yet. Horn showed he's injury prone and has catching issues. Correct. And that's why I think right now he is not a draft candidate, probably an undrafted free agent. But if he shows out at the combine, that's where that could change. We all know the combine warriors out there that put up unbelievable numbers, whether it's speed, strength, whatever, that gets them drafted. There's always a GM out there willing to take a chance on a guy that has those kind of intangibles. So we'll see. We'll see. Yep. He went run a high 4.3, low 4.4. I think that'd be good with him. I hope because we plan to make the playoffs next year, money going to be a main factor. I'm telling you guys again, I say this every show, money is not the issue. It's not the issue. Again, we just don't want to go out and buy every single player out there with an unlimited resource of money because it doesn't work. Again, we got another example of why money does not buy championships, guys. Oregon getting every player under the sun, and yet here we go, another year where they will be without a national championship to their name, and we can just continue seeing that that's not going to work, okay? So it's about choosing the right players. You go back to last year's portal, you look at the players who had good seasons, but a majority of them are not the top transfer portal targets that got a ton of money. You know, Bear Alexander, ton of money, didn't do that much. You look at some of the other guys that got added. Walter Nolan, like Ole Miss didn't do anything. He had a great year, but Ole Miss didn't do anything because that's not just the one way of doing it. You've got to pick the right guys, the right culture fit, the guys who are going to contribute in different ways on the team and not cause issues. I mean, we saw the first year of Coach Prime with him just really grabbing anybody and everyone from the portal, and it did not help because the culture wasn't there. The fit wasn't there. We had a lot of issues with players who just weren't in a place that they needed to be. This year we did a lot better, but we were a lot more selective in who we added. So we've got to be patient, guys. We've got to be patient. Again, I will crash out with all of you guys on stream if at the end of the offseason we don't have anybody that's going to help. But we're going to talk about today what we're bringing in this weekend. I think there's a little bit to be happy about. There's some of it that's going to be depth and not really jump off the page to you guys, which is fine. We need depth as well. We've only got 12 transfer portal players. We're going to end up with 20 to 30 guys when it's all said and done. So a lot of room for more additions. Milroe going to make people forget this year by performing well in the combine. Yeah, he probably will. Those intangibles, I mean, his size and his athleticism, he's going to get somebody to draft him, not maybe in the first round, but in the top rounds you watch. Anthony Richardson showed me that you don't have to be really good to get drafted high. 40 time and physical features. You're not wrong there. That was not a great one. Ohio State has money and they get top dogs. Yes, they do. I can go across the board. They all have money and they all get top dogs, but they're also selective. I think Ohio State's more selective. I think Georgia's more selective. I think Bama's more selective. I think when you look at it, Ole Miss and Oregon are the ones throwing bags at every top transfer portal, and they have nothing to show for it. Ohio State is deep when it comes to high school recruits. You know, they've got 3-4 guys deep in each position that could be playing. We're not there yet. We're only in the end of year 2. We're going into year 3, guys. We gotta give it some time, especially from where we started. I gotta remind so many people about that because Ohio State has had a legacy for decades. Alabama, decades. Georgia, decades. It is a lot to catch up to. We have to catch up, and it's going to take some time. But we're trending in the right direction. From trenches to skill players, I get that. Oregon showed the whole world why they will never win the big games. Oh, I love that, absolutely. OSU's different. Most of their money went to guys already on the roster. There you go, build within. Oregon are the Yankees of college football. Phil Knight's giving them Jerry Jones vibes. I can't say I don't agree with that. I do. That's probably true. OSU did it by recruiting really well in high school. Yeah, exactly. They're deep in the room from depth, and then they keep their guys there. They've got a great model. We're going to be probably a half and half model as time goes on and really go after some great players. But, you know, what team is Gibson playing for? I don't know what team he is playing for. Hold on. I thought it was supposed to start at 2. Is it not starting at 2? I'm trying to pull up the game on my screen, but I thought the Under Armour game was at 2 o'clock. Is the Georgia Notre Dame game live right now? Is that happening? Huh. It started already. Yeah, I thought it did start. I'm trying to pull it up, and ESPN's having some problems. There it is. Okay, let's see. Come on. Come back. Under Armour High School All-American game. DeCorian Moore already scored. That's great. Oh, yeah, 6-0. You're right. Yes, kid ran the kickoff back, of course, on one of these games. So I've got it pulled up. I'm keeping an eye on it in case anything happens or breaks. We'll see if Gibson gets anything going. But I want to talk portal with you guys because we have a ton of portal visitors coming this weekend. My goodness, somebody just got murdered in the high school game. Majority of those linemen coming in are depth pieces. Yep, I know. Yep, this weekend. Thanks for telling them that we have the money. You have the right people. Understand that Ohio State is team. Yep, exactly. You guys got it. Ohio recruits heavy in state. Russ, who are your leading contenders for the O-line? I would say even if it's 2025 season, George Hageman. Oh, I think you mean coach. I mean, Hageman could be a good bridge until we get somebody. I think having Hageman in the building allows us to be selective, guys, when it comes to that position. We don't have to rush out and panic. We've got someone that can work with the O-line right now, and the idea is that we find the right fit. Now, in a perfect world, if I'm to tell you who I would absolutely love to see as the O-line coach, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's more of a fantasy dream than anything. I would love Mike Munchak. If you know anything about the NFL, if you know about Mike Munchak, you know that he is probably one of the best offensive line coaches in the history of football. Like one of the best, regarded as one of the best offensive line coaches, offensive line minds. He retired from the NFL because he wanted to be closer to his family, to spend time with them. Guys, do you know where he's retired to? Oh, that's right. The state of Colorado. That is why he is not coaching right now, is he didn't want to go get a job at another NFL team. He was no longer coaching with the Broncos, didn't want to go elsewhere, and so he's sticking around. So it makes perfect sense that he could be a candidate. Now, he has some ties to some of the team for the Buffs. He does have a relationship with Pat Shurmur, for instance. I don't know if he has a relationship with Coach Prime. I don't know what that looks like. But if I'm honest, I kick the tires on that. I try and get Mike Munchak to agree to either come out of retirement, maybe give Hageman the job and list Munchak as an analyst. You know, he doesn't even need to be full-time. He just needs to come a couple days a week up to Boulder to work with the guys. That could be an obvious option. I know that a lot of people are bringing up McChesney's name, and he even acknowledged it without declining. So I'm assuming he'd have some interest in going into that. But I'm not sure if that's the fit that Coach Prime and team are looking for. Those are really the only three names I can even think of. We've got to remember how the prior hires happen. The prior hires happen, and they got guys that we had no idea. Like when we were looking for the defensive coordinator, there were so many names that got brought up. Robert Livingston was not a name ever brought up. And a lot of people weren't happy about the hire, if you remember back to last year, because they didn't think he was a quote-unquote sexy name. But look what ended up happening. He ended up being a great, great hire for us, and probably one of Coach Prime's best hires. The other best hire, which I want to mention as well, is George Hilo. George Hilo coming in last minute as an analyst, working with the linebackers, working with Robert Livingston on schemes. Did a fantastic job behind the scenes. Right now, it looks like he's coming back. We haven't heard anything otherwise. He's been around the program still. He's been at practices. I hope they promote him because I do believe he deserves a shot on this team. But what we see with the coaching staff, we won't know. We won't know until, kind of last minute when it comes to that. So something to think about. I just want Coach Prime to win, but it hurts not seeing him in the offensive trenches and creative playbook and physicality. Should be main priority. I get it. I want him to win too. I want to win. I believe it's going to happen, guys. We just got to relax. Again, year 2. If we're getting to year 4 and things are going backwards and not changing and not getting any better, yeah, absolutely, we can have that conversation for sure. Hagman is a consultant for now. They need an O-line coach that stays more than a year. Agreed, but here's the problem, guys. You guys got to realize something when it comes to college football. And I've seen so many people be like, oh, Colorado's just a mercenary camp. You know, coaches are coming in and out. It's a sign of good coaches that they are getting promoted and offered these higher jobs. They're getting paid more. They're getting better lives. You know, if you or I got a offer from another job for higher money, for more money to do something or get promoted, we would take it. So that's what's happening. Like the O-line, especially position coaches, guys, it's different when you're an OC, DC, or head coach. Those are going to be a little bit different. But when it comes to the position coaches, they are always looking to move up. And you don't know what has been said. Like for all we know, Dancy could be helping out the defensive coordinator at Mississippi State now, and that's why he took it. Like it's another step up until he can become a defensive coordinator at a Power 4 level. Lode Holt may be the O-line coach, but he may also be doing other things too that are increasing his role and opening up further opportunities for him. Those are things you got to think about, guys. And so it's going to happen. Every year there are going to be turnover when it comes to the coaching staff. We're going to have to find a solution. And how Coach Prime fills those jobs is a big part of being a good coach in college football. Look at Nick Saban. Every year he had half of his staff leaving to go coach elsewhere because of how successful they were. He was used to it. It wasn't the sky is falling. It was okay. Reload. Let's find somebody else. Let's fill it with somebody else. Let's get better, if anything, as well. So something to think about as we go through that. Keith coming in big with the New Year's super chat. Coach Prime is out on top offensive linemen like Josh Carver, Gentry, but get a possible offensive lineman from Wagner. I get it. They're not sexy names. We weren't in on those guys that you probably wanted, that I wanted, the top O-line. But let's see what happens, okay? There's more transfer portal news. There's more transfers that are going to be entering, not only right now, but in the spring. I am not going to declare this as an overall loss yet. I will wait until the dust settles to see who is on our offensive line come spring practice, come the spring game, come this summer in the workouts before I really, think that what the heck are we doing? Now, I love one of the offensive line we're bringing in this weekend, the other two not so fond of, and then the linebacker we're bringing in this weekend, I absolutely love, and I think he is going to be another big get for us if we can get him, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. I think Coach Prime will do a good job as he always does. Don't worry about the names and yep, exactly. How can you have cohesion in the O-line room with rotating coaching cycle? It's every team. Every team does it. You just have to deal with it. That's just what it is. Yeah, can't blame Dancy. He's from Mississippi, wanted to go back home. Agreed, Eric. 100%. Lode Holt went to go coach with his buddy. Dancy just got back to his wife and kids. There's reasons for guys leaving, okay? It's not because they hate this team. It's not because they don't like Coach Prime. It's not any of that stuff. So, guy from Illinois is a must get. Agreed. I like what I saw from him. I need to pull up his information. Can anybody remind me of his name? I had his stuff pulled up and I had it. I know he's from Illinois, but if you guys can let me know his name so I can pull up that stuff here in a moment, just throw it in the chat. I'd appreciate it as well. Bowl games just finished in these last few days. A lot more high quality players are probably coming. Exactly. And they're still going. The playoffs are going on right now. Wait until the playoffs are done. Wait until all of the play is done. Wait a few days to see what happens. That's where we're going to find out what this team is going to do. Lode Holt coach with the coach of Mississippi State. The AD that hired him at OU is now the AD in Mississippi State. It's all connections. It's all of that. That's going to happen. I'm not too worried. Name is Chrysler. Okay, I'm going to pull him up. Give me just a second. I will get his stuff up as well. Chrysler. Zy Chrysler. Got it. Okay. We'll take a look at his, not as much as you guys think. Okay, so we're going to pull up some of the PFF scores for the guys we're bringing in this weekend. We're going to talk about them. why we see them, how we see them fitting in, and then let you guys know kind of my thoughts on what is going on. So first up is the one that I want to talk about the most, because I think he is going to be the most impactful one, and he is going to continue to improve this room in the team. And that is Martavius French, linebacker from the University of Texas, San Antonio. We've talked about him before a little bit, but he is officially coming on a visit tomorrow to be a part of this team. Add on the fact that we got Reginald Hughes from Jacksonville State, linebacker. Both guys graded out phenomenally. And if you look at Martavius French, what I like to see is especially down at the bottom, okay? So give me one sec. There we go. Okay. Here's some of the stuff that you like to see. First off, look at his overall grades, okay? He has increased on a yearly basis. So started with a 62, 62.8, 66.5. So we are seeing growth out of this guy, okay? That's what you want to see, trending upwards for a player that would be coming in. Then if you look at his grades, there's a couple that I want to point out, the main one being this one right here. His team played Texas, and he got a 72.7 defensive grade for the game, guys. So even though he's at UTSA, he has shown out well in some of the bigger games that have been available. Tulsa, 73.5. Memphis, 66.2. Army, bad grade. I can kind of understand that. Again, Army plays that really difficult triple option, which as a linebacker, unless you are perfectly disciplined, you're going to have a bad time. And I think that's probably what you're going to see. In fact, all of the guys that I'm looking at today that are coming in for visits at some point played Army this year. Kind of weird that that schedule worked out for them. But that's what we see right here. You can see his overall tackling grade, 69.8, 66.5, 68.9 against the run, 59.3 against coverage, and his pass rush is his best attribute at 70.2. So he might actually be an edge player more than a linebacker, which also Reginald Hughes. But that looks like what we're looking for. We're not looking for as much coverage linebackers. We would prefer to put more corners out there if we're going to look at that. Especially in passing situations. So that's something to look at. Martavius French coming in for a visit this weekend. I do like him and think he could be a big contributor this year. Okay, we got another super chat from Pobs. Dancy went to CU, got a raise, came back to Mississippi, got a raise, basically got 2 raises in 2 years, got to go back home. Who wouldn't do that? Exactly. We all got to put ourselves in the shoes. Like, take the feelings out of it and understand this is a business. This is people's livelihoods. You know, if I'm working a job in a place that I don't love, getting paid good money, and I get offered a job to go to my hometown and get paid more, I'm not going to take that. It's going to happen every year. The coaching carousel rolls on when it comes to college football, more so than anything else. So you're absolutely right. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Thank you so very much. Let's move on. Caden Salter, little brother from TCU, might transfer to us. Not much production, though, but he fast and huge. I'll have to look into him. That makes sense that he would. Like, it really does. It would make sense that he would follow his brother. I think he has been just a good coach. Is hungry, ready to work. Also remember that not much of the pressure of that being the boss's kid back there. So we'll be good, I think. Okay, we'll know by spring who all we'll have. Yep, exactly. By summer, but finalized. We'll have a couple more that'll come in. Go look at last couple years. We've had a couple of late signees. If you guys remember, Nikai Hill-Green was a very late signee for the transfer portal, and that worked out quite well for us. He came on a visit last year, I think. Okay, so let's go in. I'm going to go straight to the Illinois guy, okay? The Illinois guy is one that I want to look at because guess what? His grades are not that good. His stats are good. Grades are not that good. So here is the Illinois lineman Zy Chrysler, 6'6", 335. You gotta like the weight, the size. That's all great. Already played 3 years at Illinois. Looks like a 3-year starter based on his snap counts, but his grades are just not looking the greatest. Lots of orange, lots of yellow. His best game was against Northwestern, where he graded out at an 80, but again, that's Northwestern. You can see some of the better teams that he played against. Nebraska, not that great. Kansas, who we will see, 60.9, not great. Penn State, we all know how good Penn State is after their beat down of Boise State. So they're at a 49. 61 against Purdue, not the greatest. Oregon, 55.7. So, I mean, he had a very rough schedule, obviously being in the Big Ten and starting for Illinois. But the question is, will you see those numbers improve coming to the Big 12? How is that going to look for him? And whether or not he is an improvement on the current players on the roster, we will have to find out. That's an interesting one to keep tabs on. The other two players that we have, guys, Zarian McGill. I want to talk about this guy because I think this is the other one to watch out for. Okay. Zarian McGill from La Tech, center, 6'2", 308 pounds. Look at some of his grades, guys. Another guy that has drastically improved each and every year. 51, 62, 68. He is very good at pass blocking at a 75 with a 63 run block this year. Look at some of the games that he did well in versus big time competition. NC State, 65. He graded out 81 pass protection. Tulsa, not so great. He had a bad game there. FIU did decent. The other games I want to look at, UTEP did well. Arkansas, here's another big one, 63. Army, again, Army is no slouch when it comes to the trenches and having to face off. So 75, 76, 73. His grades are actually fairly what you want to see. And so I actually think that Zarian McGill would be a great add and could come in and start at center day one. So he would definitely be part of that competition with Cash Cleveland, or could even swap and switch over to guard, which could also work out for the team quite nicely. So Zarian McGill also coming in. Now, the other two players coming in, I believe, would be more of projects, developmental players, depth pieces. So please understand when I bring these up that that's what you're looking at, guys, okay? First one being William Boone from Prairie View A&M. Look at this. He only has 1 year with Prairie View, okay? This is what we're going to start seeing more of. We're going to start seeing more of players going the JUCO route, transferring after a good year and coming to the Power Four when they don't have necessarily the grades or the stars behind their name to go Power Four right away. So that is something good to see when it comes to William Boone. He is great depth and could become a starter in the next year or two. So that makes very good sense why we would be bringing him in. So relax. Don't freak out that you see Prairie View next to his name. He literally has 1 year of experience, but look at the 1 year of going and starting rather than sitting the bench at another school. Okay. So, I'm not saying they're JUCO. I'm just saying lower level football teams are going to be, because it sounds like that new rule is going to not just apply to JUCO. They're going to try and expand it to other non-FBS Division I programs, okay? I do understand they're not JUCO. My point is that these lesser, lower, smaller schools are going to see a lot more guys go there, start for a year, then transfer to the Power Four. So again, the name we're going to have to keep tabs on and understand as we go through that just because they are not coming from a Power Four school does not mean that they cannot be a player that develops into a very good player for Colorado. Okay. So again, I understand their FCS. I was more talking about the JUCO rule in essence, the the new rule change that's going to allow for more eligibility. So I do believe we will see more players going to other levels of football first and then jumping to the Power Four. Now, when it comes to William Boone, just looking at his grades real quick, couple of things I want to point out. Michigan State did play Prairie View. He got a 60 run block, 56 pass block. So not the best, but not the worst. So that's fine. Some of his better games he had in here, he had some really good ones. They also played Northwest State, Grambling. I mean, there's some good HBCUs listed in here. He's not going to be a day one starter. And I agree, he's not going to be a day one starter. That's why I said he is a project. He is a project for Colorado with only a year under his belt and a year that he did pretty well. He's going to develop more. He's going to physically become a better player at 6'6", 340 pounds. If he can move decently well, that's going to work out quite well for us. So I think this is more of a depth, long-term kind of development piece. And I think it's important to have. We've talked about it. We need the depth in the trenches. We need to have options available there. So that is going to be what happens with William Boone. The last one that is coming in, this one I'm not so hot on. That is Brandon Snee from Wagner. And mostly it's because of his grades and really his pass blocking grades. Or passing. Sorry, pass blocking's good. Run block's good. Offense is good. But the competition just isn't really there. And he did have a pretty poor game. But, you know, we'll have to see. They played UMass. He did pretty well. So he is another piece that could be good depth, could be good development, because, again, he only has 1 year under his belt. And King John gets it, guys. We need to understand this is going to be the new NCAA. With the new rules that HBCU, FCS, Group of Five, get the bodies right, develop them, then hit into semi-pro, AK, FBS, Power 4 football programs. That's how it's going to change the way the game works, guys. It really is. That's how the game is going to change. So we got to realize that as long as these are young guys, this isn't no Shane Cokes coming from a, Ivy League school as a grad transfer where you have a long body of work for him. No, these guys have 1 year under them, and that 1 year they did pretty well at a lower level. Now it's time to take the next step. So rather than doing that jump from high school to the Power 4, where some players are just not able to do that jump, now we have incremental jumps that are going to be much more impactful and useful when it comes to players and player personnel. So please understand that. I would ignore the name next to the school and just understand that this is what we're going to see a lot more of here in the future. Okay, what do we got? Let's see. All things considered, Buffs have some trench depth, just need to get them in now to sculpt their bodies and develop techniques. Exactly. That's a great comment. That's what's up next. I'm excited to see. Yes, their depth pieces at best. The competition level plays a major factor. Absolutely. I'm not saying they're coming in to start day one. They're coming in to compete, get better, and eventually slot into those spots. Maybe not next year, but the year after, definitely. Okay, definitely look. East Coast Kev coming in with the New Year super chat. Appreciate you. Love the show. I did all the giving for Xmas, but I did get a gift from Ohio State last night. Hey, Lanning, I thought you were rooted in substance. Nah, they don't play for clicks. They play for championships, right, East Coast Kev? They play for championships. And the number of championships that they have is still a big old O for Oregon because they got 0. Loved it. This weekend went great. I mean, Boise State losing, Ashton Genty proving that, hey, maybe Travis was the deserving Heisman winner. Oregon getting spanked. Yeah, it was a great weekend for college football for everybody else. So that's where we're at. Appreciate the comment. Appreciate the $5 East Coast Kev, as always. Thank you so much for the New Year's gift. Let's keep going. Kareem Harden, Tylen Brown showed us the JUCO HBCU linemen are a big difference in Power 4 football. Yep, but that doesn't mean that that's the rule. That doesn't mean that that's the rule. You know, I'm not going to say that every single player from the lower levels cannot play at a higher level. We won't know. We won't know. Appreciate East Coast Kev for sure. Kareem Harden needs to hit that portal. I'm fine with him staying. We need depth. We can't lose everybody, guys. And he has experience, so he can go in a moment's notice if needed. You need that out of a couple guys so that you're not just throwing in, you know, inexperienced linemen at very opportune times. So I'm completely fine with him sticking it out and being here and being a part of the program going forward. But hey, we'll see. We'll see if anybody hits the portal. Coach Prime seemed to say publicly that there are going to be a number of other portal entries that he knows about. And so just be prepared, guys. Just be prepared. Although Russ last year, CU went and got Cardell Thomas, was LSU champion on their O-line and never saw the field. He left. I don't even think he was here but a couple of weeks, if I remember right. I don't think he's on the team anymore from what I've heard. But agreed. Just because they went to an LSU, a Bama, an Ohio State, or any of that does not mean that they're going to come in and be successful. And just because they're coming from a lower level does not mean they're going to come and absolutely be trash. We don't know. We don't know. And honestly, the best way that you're going to find guys is one, being able to evaluate talent. That's a huge part of it. And being able to find the right fits, not only skill and physically, but also mentally, culturally. All of that stuff is going to make a big difference when it comes to your team. All the CU depth are not very good in the O-line room. Cardell Thomas was at the Alamo Bowl game. Okay, he was. There you go. Ian Massey never saw the field, which is crazy. I'm not going to get in the Ian Massey debate. I know that, you know, there's tape out there of how great Ian Massey was. The fact is he's been at 2 programs, has never saw the field, only has practice tape. For whatever reason, something is happening to where he's not seeing the field. So I'm not going to say that he is better than anybody. Because I don't know. And I don't think you know, because I assume you're not at practice every week or on the team or in the meetings and, you know, covering how much videotape people are watching or what they're doing off the field. We don't know. It could be a number of things, but the team's not going to let us know that stuff. So it's unfortunate that he's gone. And, you know, I think at this point, I agree right here with this comment. I think it's time for Massey to jump down and actually get playing time. Go someplace where he's guaranteed to play just because of his level. Go ball out on an actual football field on a Saturday and then come back to the Power 4 when you're ready. That's where we're at with that. To say Oregon didn't do anything is crazy. They went 13-0, lost to Ohio State, another $20 million loss. They're probably going to win the championship. The narratives y'all come up with. Here's the problem. They lost to Ohio State. They almost lost to Idaho. They almost lost to Boise State. Ohio State lost games this year. So, I mean, to say that Ohio State is just some superpower and that's why Oregon lost? I mean, everybody before that game would have assumed that Oregon was the superpower team in the country. They were number one. They were unstoppable. They weren't going to be beat. Ohio State had gotten beat this year. And, you know, it is what it is. I don't think that's narratives. It's a fact. Did Oregon lose? Yes. Is Oregon no longer in the college football playoffs? Yes. I mean, I don't know what's narrative about that. I'm not coming up with any story. That's where it is. Could Ohio State win the national championship? 100%. Obviously, they're in the semis. We'll see what happens, but any given Saturday, and that's what's great about having a playoff instead of having, you know, just bowl games. Just think about it, guys. Had we just had the old version of college football, we would have seen Oregon versus, I don't even remember who number 2 is, But Ohio State wouldn't have even got a chance to go for the national championship, if we're being honest. So that's the point of this. Anybody can win any week. Just have to have one game. One game's all it takes. Linebacker Cooper Blomstorm is a beast from Georgetown. He and McPherson can be Colorado's version of the Bash Brothers. It'll have to be interesting to see if they go after someone like that. Antonio Gates Jr. transferred to Delaware State with Coach Deshaun Jackson. I'm excited to see Deshaun Jackson coach. I'm excited to see Michael Vick coach, to see what they do. I have a feeling it'll be very similar to what Coach Prime is able to accomplish, especially at those lower levels too. I think they can get a pretty good transfer class, some really good recruits that are higher than what those teams usually get. So it'll be very interesting and exciting to see what we get from that level of college football here in just a little bit next season. Like, absolutely excited to see that and see what is going to happen. Yep, the Under Armour game 14-8, it looks like. I need to look at the stats to see what's going on. I haven't heard anything from Gibson. I believe at halftime is when most of the guys are committing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But so far, so good. Unfortunately, Julian Lewis is there. He is just there in spirit. He is not participating. From what Uncle Neely said today, same thing. He has not been practicing. He's just been going through the motions, being a part of what's going on, but obviously he needs to heal that hand before he gets into it and actually throws the ball on a day-to-day basis. Do what you can, but, be a part of the festivities. Enjoy what you have going on. Get back here to Colorado in a week or so and get to work on becoming that starting quarterback and competing. That's what we'll end up seeing then. Let's see what else we got going on as far as news that I want to cover. Again, appreciate you guys for joining me today. Sorry for the lack of content. The little break that I took was, like I said, remodeling my home office, which is why you see it a little bit different. Doing a different camera view for you guys as well. Trying to up the quality of the show so that you guys have a little bit nicer of a thing to look at and be able to enjoy it. Okay. So appreciate you guys and the patience. Excited to see what's going on. Also, breaking news, BJ Green has officially announced his declaration for the NFL draft. Not that we didn't know that was coming, but congratulations to BJ Green. He is one of the people that I do have listed as a draftable grade. I do believe that BJ Green should get drafted. Where, I don't know yet. But I do believe that he deserves to be drafted to a team and not an undrafted free agent. So that's just where I believe on that. Be interested to see what you guys say. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yep. Took a lot of hard work. Took 4 days of organizing and just getting everything perfect. Organizational skills take some time. Man, college football is becoming so exciting. It's not only Power 4, it's the lower FCS football, the MAC, the SWAC, the MW football that's about to be super fun to watch. We're going to have so much great football to watch, guys. And the best part is that the media is understanding that we want it and that we are hungry for it. And so what are they doing? They're providing more of it on TV for us to watch. So you've got to imagine that Deshaun Jackson, Michael Vick's teams, they will all be on TV just like Jackson State was with Coach Prime, how he put them on the map more nationally. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Coming from somebody like me, I had never heard of Jackson State. I had never watched a game. When Coach Prime got there, I was peeking at it and paying attention. Same thing's going to happen with Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson and anybody else who happens to get a job at those levels. It's going to be must-see TV to check out and see what they can do. So very, very interested to see how that all plays out. But we got some great, great things coming. Chris Brown, you think Preston Hodge is coming back? From what I've heard, there is a high likelihood that he will come back. I think he still kicks the tires on what's going on at the next level just in case. But my guess is that he's not going to get a draftable grade. And I think it would be in his best interest to come back. So we'll see. I have heard that, yes, there is some optimism that he will be coming back. That's the best way I can put it. Optimism that he will be coming back. Read somewhere on YouTube that it's a possibility for Chidozie to return. Yes. And the place you might have been reading that is it came straight from his dad. His dad says he has eligibility and he's contemplating maybe returning for another year. If he does, guys, you want to talk about the trenches being loaded. We will have a much better chance next year if Chidozie returns for one more year, because between him, Otis, Torian Carter, Amari McNeil, that is a pretty good interior to the defensive line to have for next year. So I truly, truly do think it would be in his best interest to come back. I think it would be in Colorado's best interest to have him back. Do whatever you can to get Chidozie Nwankwo back to Colorado, please. But we'll see. We'll see what happens because we'll find out soon enough, like probably in the next couple weeks, if he's coming back, if Preston Hodge is coming back. Those are things that we will be finding out here fairly quickly as draft prep starts, and they will have to make that decision sooner rather than later. Kelvin Adams, last I heard, I think we are looking good with O'Connor. I do. I think that it's coming back around, and I think that he is going to end up committing to Colorado. But I don't have any insider information for that. I just do that based on, his visit and what he's been doing since, which has been really quiet. So I do think that we'll eventually get O'Connor as a portal transfer. What's up, Northside? Appreciate you. Thank you so much for jumping in and hanging out with us today. Got a new setup, new desk, new all sorts of stuff over here, new background with the black, added an accent wall with acoustic treatments up there, and just overall reorganized my office space to be a much more aesthetically and comfortable space, seeing that I work in it 5 days a week, 7 if you include the content creation. So I appreciate you jumping in as always and checking that out. I wanted to see if we would get some of the commits for the Under Armour game to see if, for instance, Donovan Murph, who has us in his final, teams, I don't think he's going to go with us. We have way too many high school receiver recruits at this point. I don't see why he'd want to come here at this point just because of that. With Quentin Gibson, with Quinnell Farrakhan, with Adrian Wilson, I don't know if he's a must get. I'm not going to be heartbroken if he doesn't come with us and commit to Colorado today. So that's where I'm at. So anyway, wait. Chidozie might be coming back. That D-line would be ferocious. Yep, King John. I mean, his dad confirmed that he has eligibility. So they're right now contemplating and debating whether or not to come back to college for a year. No guarantee if that's Colorado or not. I mean, they have to want him back and want to pay him, obviously. Or if he jumps the NFL, we don't know. But yes, he does have a year of eligibility along with Preston Hodge now. Oh, let's see what we got here. Oh, Donovan Murph committed to South Carolina. Okay, so we did miss the commitment. He committed to South Carolina. I kind of wondered if that was going to be the case. That was always the team always listed first with him. Makes sense that he would go there. Colorado was just there for the namesake, if we're being honest. Yeah, it wouldn't have made sense unless we have wide receivers leaving. But right now, it looks good, guys. It looks good. Timmons keeps saying he's not going anywhere. Omarion seems all in on social media, ready to go for next year. Like, he understands this is his team. Like, it is going to be his team. Joseph Williams just fully signed on the dotted line yesterday or today. I can't remember. So we've got him. We've got all the freshmen. We've got Draylon, Cam. So the wide receiver room already stacked. Excited to see what they do and develop into with everybody on this team. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. whenever a kid just ends up in his hometown, it's like, why even list the other schools? You know where you were going the whole time. You list the other schools to get attention. That's what you do. That's what you do. Okay, guys, let's see. Omarion Draylon, Joe, Quinnell, Gibson, Wilson. Can't complain with that room. I don't think we can, guys. I don't think we can complain with that room. That is going to be special. It may not be special right away in the sense of like complete domination across the board next year, although I think they can with a bunch of sophomores and juniors. But in a year or two, wow. We keep those guys around. What up, Todd? I hope you're having a happy new year. Appreciate you dropping in and checking out the stream today. Guys, I'm going to be wrapping it up here in just a moment. So appreciate you guys for coming into the chat. I appreciate all of the super chats today for New Year's. Thank you guys so much. It is always appreciated when I get money. So Keith with the $4.99, appreciate you. Pobs and East Coast Kev all coming in with the $5 gifts. I appreciate you guys very, very much. And we will be back again later on this weekend, probably. And I'll see if we can get a show with David next week at some point. We'll see what happens breaking news wise. Make sure you're subscribed and turn on the notifications. Just an FYI, statistics show a lot of my videos are watched by my subscribers, which is great, but there is a chunk of about 80% of you who are not subscribed currently. So please, please, please hit that subscription button and the bell so you know when we go live, especially because I go live for breaking news, which we all know we need that notification for, so we know when that breaking news is happening. Of course, hit that like really quick. 180, 190 of you, hit the like, please, if you don't mind. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys. I will talk to you later on. And as always, Sco Buffs.